Happy Tuesday, Cougars, Tigers, and Jaguars, and welcome back to history class. Yesterday, you should have read through the text, pages 306 to pages 311 in your history textbook, and you completed page 125, what I have up here on the screen. I did the first part for you, or with you, so I'm going to review your answers now for the last part of that page. So get that out, pause the video if you need to go grab that. Let's go over your answers for the supporting details. Remember, the supporting details are like those legs holding up that tabletop of the main idea. So our first main idea we had here from the section was that ancient Greek society had a complex class system, and you probably definitely saw that as you read through the text. So what were some details that we got for that section? Well, we may have seen that rich landowners were at the top, right? They were at the top of that societal structure, that pyramid, like we talked about with previous ancient Greek units, ancient Egypt units, we talked about their social pyramid. The ancient Greeks was a little bit more complex, right? But they did have rich landowners at the top. And then underneath the rich landowners, they did have smaller landowners, they had merchants, artisans, and the landless poor. We also saw from within this section that there were citizens and there were non-citizens. So there was a difference between being a citizen and being a non-citizen. Some of the examples of non-citizens that we saw were women, slaves, and foreigners, people from other countries. They could not participate in government. They could not help make the decisions of government. They couldn't vote. So they were all considered non-citizens. All right, let's see here. A couple other ones we had were that slavery was widespread, right? We saw that. They definitely did have slaves. And slaves were considered at the very bottom of that social standing. Similar to what we've seen with other ancient cultures that we've studied as well. All right, so the next main idea we had from this section was that the population of Greek city-states increased. So they have more and more people, and the Greeks had to find a way to feed the people. So this created a problem for them. So some city-states went out and conquest. They fought against and they won other city-states. Others went out and colonized, similar to what we saw with the Phoenicians going out and colonizing other areas of the land. So some conquest, some colonize. We saw that Sparta was an example of one that went out and conquered. And they conquered the local Messina, and they forced the people to raise food for them. So I'm just going to say forced labor, but they were forcing them to grow crops for the Spartan people. Couldn't grow enough on their own, so they found some other people to grow them for them, I guess. And then some of the colonist areas we saw all along the Mediterranean. They had colonies. They found places with good land that they can farm. They found places that had important resources that they needed and places where they could get their ships in and out of. All right, and then our last main idea here is that Greek colonization affected both trade and culture. So what we saw some of those who went out and colonized was that they introduced new goods into those foreign lands. The Athenians were big on shipping their olive oil and their wine, right? They had to use that as an export because they couldn't grow grain where they were. So they had to export the olive oil, the wine, and then they would trade that in for grain, which is a very important, valuable resource. All right, we saw that instead of using the bartering system like the Phoenicians did when we studied them, these Greek city-states developed coins, and they used coins for trading. And we also saw another link to the Phoenicians. The Greeks used the Phoenician alphabet as they were writing as well. Oops, Greeks. Greeks used Phoenician alphabet. And one of the things that we see here towards the end of this section on colonization is that the merchants, those who were selling the goods and trading the goods, became to have a great amount of power in ancient Greece. And they wanted to be able to have more of a say in how the politics were being run. So we see the merchants growing wealthy and more powerful. All right, so that goes down to our question here at the bottom of the page. Who held the most power in the Greek family? What was the men, right? We talked a little bit at the very first section yesterday about how the women didn't have a whole lot of power. They mainly stuck at home and stuck to the taking care of the household. They couldn't make decisions, they couldn't vote, so they had fewer rights than the men in the family. We did see an exception there. We saw the Spartan women, even though they couldn't vote and help make the decisions, they had more rights than the Athenian women. So the Spartan women were able to play sports, and they were able to go to school and get an education. So they had more rights than those Athenian women. Remember, we talked about too how the Athenians were so shocked at how the Spartan women had more rights. So those are our answers for page 125. You should have reviewed your answers. Make sure you have these written down on your paper. If you wrote something different and you missed any of these, just jot them down in the margin off to the side. So if you need to pause the video to make sure you get all caught up and get those answers copied, go ahead and do that now. But I'm going to take you on to today's lesson, which we're going to be looking at the next section in our Greek unit and completing page 126 in your packet. So if you're ready to move on, go ahead and flip the page in your packet, turn to page 126. I'm going to pull that up here, and I'm going to jockey back and forth here between this and the textbook. So you might want to have your textbook handy as well. If you don't have it, go pause, grab that, get your textbook. You're going to open it up to page 312. So even though we haven't taken a quiz on this section 2 yet, we're going to preview section 3 just looking at the key terms. So we're just paying attention to the key terms here for section 3 to help prepare us for that quiz later on. All right, so let's look at section 3. It's called Democracy in Athens. It starts on page 312. You can see we have a lot of key terms here, and this section really highlights how democracy starts in Athens and how it works. So you're going to get to know these key terms pretty well here. We're just going to scroll through the text, find them, look up the definitions, and then find where they go on page 126. So get that handy. Page 126 has the definitions for us. We're just going to plug these in. So we have number 1, many city-states move toward rule by many, a form of government called. Number 2, people have rights and responsibilities when they gain membership in a community. Number 3, a political system in which citizens elect others to represent them in government is called. A political power is held by a small group of people. What is that for number 4? Number 5, a political system in which citizens participate directly in decision-making is called. And number 6, a formation of heavily armed foot soldiers who move together as a unit. What is that one? And then number 7, a government run by a strong ruler. So we're going to look through these key terms in our text and find out where each one goes. So our first one, we've talked about this word before when we did our posters with the 4 different types of government and oligarchy. Let's see what our definition for oligarchy is.
Oligarchy. Government in which a small group of people rule.
All right, a small group of people rule. Let's find that on page 126. Where is it? Where is it? Find your answer. If you said number 4, you got it correct. Good job. Oligarchy. Number 4, small group of people ruling and holding the power. All right, we're going to find our next one here. Go forward. All right, our next key term. Let's see what this one says.
Phalanx. Greek military formation of heavily armed foot soldiers who move together as a unit.
Ooh, all right, let's find that one on page 126. Greek soldiers moving together as a unit. They would form like a wall. You couldn't get through them. What is that called? Which one does it go with? If you said number 6, you got it right. Good job. Oops. Ah, there we go. All right, let's find our next key term. I think we're going to have to turn the page here.
Tyranny. Unjust use of power, or in ancient Greece, a government run by a strong ruler.
So this was also on our poster, so hopefully you remember this word, tyranny. A tyrant leader, one strong leader. Which one does that go with? Where do we find it here on our page? Number 7. Good job. All right, let's find our next one. It was up here at the top, democracy.
Democracy. Form of government in which citizens hold political power.
All right, where does it go? Where's the one? So there's 3 different democracies here, so choose wisely. You can see 3 different ones that go with democracy that talk about citizens having the rights. Correct answer for this one is number 1, democracy. All right, we're going to find our next one here. Next page. Citizenship. Let's see what that's all about.
Citizenship. Membership in a state or community which gives a person civil and political rights and obligations.
We have citizenship in the United States of America. Where do you think that one would fit? It's similar to democracy. It's kind of the flip side of it. So where would we put that one? It is number 2. The people have the rights and responsibilities. All right, I need to close this one out. I keep going to that one instead of the book. Okay, next key term. Where are we going to find it? I think we got to go to the next page here. All right, our 2 other democracies. So we're going to see if we can tell the difference between these 2, a direct democracy and a representative democracy. And I want you to try to think which one is more closely related to how our democracy is run here in America. So direct or representative. See what you think.
Direct democracy. Government in which citizens take part directly in the day-to-day affairs of government.
All right, here we go. So, direct democracy, which one does that one fit more with? Number 3 or number 5? Read those carefully. It is number 5, direct democracy. They are directly influencing how the government is run. The citizens are making the choices. All right, and then let's go to representative democracy.
Representative democracy. Democracy in which people elect representatives to make the nation's laws.
All right, so we know where that answer goes. So we know that it goes here for number 3. But what is the difference between the 2? Well, in direct democracy, we see that the people are making the decisions directly, but a representative democracy, they are electing people to make those decisions for them. So here in America, what do? We elect Congress members. We elect government officials. In Congress, that would be our Senate. We also have the representatives, the House of Representatives. So we elect those people to make decisions on our behalf. We also elect the president and other bodies of government office as well, including mayors and governors and all sorts of people that we elect to make decisions on our behalf. So we would be more closely related to a representative democracy. We elect representatives to make decisions for us. Now, we do have the right to vote, and we do change laws sometimes. We'll vote, the voters will pass and say this is the law that is getting passed, but it still gets approved by the Senate before it officially goes into action. So that would be a representative democracy. All right, so that was page 126. Again, that's section 3. We haven't read it yet. Just wanted to get your brain flowing, get these key terms back in your minds. I know many of them we've talked about before. Tomorrow, you will have your quiz on section 2, and that is found in your packet after page 126. So page 126 in your packet, then there's the quiz. I'm not going to hold it up for you because I have been using this packet as well, and I'm circling my own answers, so I'm not giving you the answers. You got to find them yourself. But remember, quizzes are always open book, open notes, and I did create a Kahoot to help you practice. So I definitely recommend playing that Kahoot this week. It will help you so much on the quiz. It is the Section 2 Kahoot. It was emailed out last Friday. If you need the link, it's in that email to your parents. And here is the code. So if you want to just plug it into your Kahoot app directly, here's the challenge code for that Section 2 quiz. Now you'll notice I took off the option for you to type your names, okay? You do not get credit for taking the quiz on Kahoot. It's just for practice. It's just for studying. You need to complete the quiz that's in your packet, snap a picture of it, tear it out, turn it in to me for credit. Okay, so the paper quiz is where you get graded on. The Kahoot is just for practice. All right, so tomorrow take your quiz, and also I'm going to post a video up for you to watch. That video is about a day in the life of an ancient Athenian. So you're going to kind of get to see what it was like living as a teenager in ancient Athens. All right, I hope you guys all have a fabulous day. I hope you are all watching those Purity Week videos. We look forward so much to seeing the girls on our Zoom on Friday, and boys, you'll have your own Zoom as well. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.